Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of me listing my favourite BR standards. So we left off with the 4MT 10-wheeler. I've already explained what these engines were in part 1, but if you haven't know, go and check part 1, which I released yesterday. Anyway, number 5 is the 3MT tanks. So the reason why it was a hard decision for me to pick either the 4MT 10-wheeler or the 3MT tanks is because they were both really good locomotives. So these engines were built between 1952 to 1955, and most of them, I think all of them, went to the Great Western region where they were painted in green. And they even did station pilot duties at Waterloo Station. They originally were supposed to be branch line locomotives, where they worked on many of the branch lines which the 4MT tank engines couldn't really work on, but due to, upgrade on the track, the 4MT tanks were able to run on those lines. But luckily these engines still had a good amount of use. But unfortunately, sadly, none of them were preserved. All 45 of them that were built had been withdrawn and cut up for scrap. But luckily, one of them not one of them has been preserved. I mean, one is currently being built at Bridgnorth on the Severn Valley Railway as the newest member of the fleet. Number 82045 will be the 46th member of the class. And as I heard, they are hopefully, fingers crossed, that they might complete the engine in 2023. So that's exciting. I give these engines a B for brilliant. Next is the 5MT 10-wheelers. These engines were built in 1951 to 1957, and they are probably one of the most well-known of the BR standards. And they were one of the last locomotives to be withdrawn from British Railways. And 5 of them have been preserved, and a lot of railways make sure to keep them running because they like them so much. And I mean Heritage Railways, obviously. And they are probably one of the best BR standards. They're basically a greater upgraded version of the Black 5s, that they've been called the Ultimate 460. Just like the Black 5s, just there was less of them, just 151 of them were built. I give these a B+. Number 3 is the 4MT tanks. These engines were built between 1951 to 1956 at Crewe, Doncaster, and most of them being built at Brighton. The last one, number 80151, was the last engine to be built at Brighton Works. These engines had the most built out of all the BR standards, and they are probably one of the most reliable of them as well. That's all I have to say about them. But they're basically an upgraded version of the Fairborn tanks, which were too big to run on different regions. I think 15 of them have been preserved, which is a very good number. One of them, number 80079, which is currently at the Severn Valley Railway at Highley, it was actually in an accident where it was foggy and it collided into the back of a train, which killed a lot of people, sadly. But again, at least we have the engine to, remember that accident for the people, who had died. I give these engines a B+ as well. Next is the Britannias, the first BR standards. These engines were built between 1951 to 1954, all of them being built at Crewe. They are basically, remember the Clans? Yeah, the Clans were just a smaller version of this. And they were really good locomotives, that all of them were just called Britannias thanks to the first member of the class. 2 of them are currently in preservation, one being Britannia, the first of the class, and the National Railway Museums own one, number 70013, Oliver Cromwell, which was actually the last of the class to be withdrawn, and was one of the last locomotives to be withdrawn by British Railways, and it was the last locomotive that was steam powered to be overhauled at Crewe. So yeah, no wonder why it became part of the National Rail Museum collection. Britannia was originally supposed to go to that collection, but they decided to pick Oliver Cromwell due to the stuff it did, despite it was, a very young engine. I give these engines A minus. And, well, you guys probably know what number 1 is for me. Number 1 is the 9Fs. The 9Fs are one of my favourite BR standards. They were built between 1954 to 1960, so they were the last locomotives built for British Railways. And a good number of them were built. I think about over 150 of them were built. No, it was 140. The last one, Evening Star, was, well, when it was completed, literally was announced that it was worthy of preservation on the day it was built, because it was going to be the last one they would built. You can see Evening Star today at the National Railway Museum, and it is a beautiful locomotive. And these engines are famous since they are known as the most powerful steam locomotives in Britain. Probably the most powerfulest, compared to like a lot of other locomotives like the LNER P2s and all that other locomotives. So to me, they are the best. I give them an A. I know, not an A plus, but still an A, because there are locomotives better than these engines. And that's my list. Did you agree? Do you disagree? If you don't, it's fine. It's your opinion. It doesn't matter if it's not your opinion or if I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if you disagree, because it's the internet. We can have our own opinions or not. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my list, and I hope to see you again very soon. Goodbye.